If you're a home buyer right now, this is a critical moment of opportunity, and I'm going to tell you why. This is the weekly report on Major Money Matters. Welcome to Major Money Matters. My name is Major. I'm the host of Major Money Matters. I'm a mortgage broker powered by Edge Home Finance. And every single week we post videos telling you what's happening in the economic world and in the housing world, and letting you know how that could be affecting your home buying or home selling process. If this is your first time to the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you get notified every single week when we post videos like this and when we post other videos to keep you informed about the home buying process. All right, let's get to it. We start off with mortgage-backed securities, and we look at this chart here. Now, why is this chart important? It's important because it tells you how mortgage-backed securities are trading. As this line trends down, then interest rates are going up. As this line trends up, then interest rates are going down. So if you look back at the beginning of this chart, on the left side hand of this chart, you see back in February of 28 where mortgage-backed securities were at a higher point relatively to where they are right now. So that means that that means that interest rates have gone up since February, which we all know. This is not new news, but this tells you day to day how those mortgage-backed securities are trading and how interest rates are moving. The good news is we have kind of settled in since about April 11th, settled into some lateral movement. Now, there's been some up days and some down days, but relative to the downtrend that we had before, we've settled into a kind of a new normal, I will say. So this is what we're starting to see, and people are starting to get acclimated to just where interest rates are at this time. So if I'm talking to somebody on the phone and just based on their parameters, I said, hey, your interest rate's going to be 4.9 or whatever. It used to be when interest rates shifted to that point, they said, whoa, wait a minute, man. I mean, interest rates used to be at like 3%. Why am I at 4.9? Now it's like 4.9. Okay, cool. I'll take that. Because my friend got 5.5 or something like that. So they're happy with their interest rate. So, you know, you're starting to settle into a new normal here. And that's the part that's going to trend into what I'm talking about with this window opportunity that I'm talking about with our with home buyers right now. So mortgage-backed securities, we got some lateral movement, okay, a little bit up and down day to day, but we're doing pretty well staying in a nice, you know, lateral trend, and getting to a point where people are just getting acclimated to this new normal. So while we're at it, let's talk about this. Where are interest rates? So average interest rates across all programs right now, all amount of points paid, all scenarios, average interest rates based on the 30-year fixed that's being reported by Freddie Mac. This is kept track of by the St. Louis Fed. Average interest rates right now, about 5.25%. If you're in a government loan, you might be a little lower than that point. If you're in a conventional loan with not a lot of money down or a lower credit score or something like that, then you're likely at a higher point than that. But in general, you're at about 5.25% average across all scenarios. So that's where we settled out I think last week we were at maybe 5.1 or something like that. But keep in mind, this lags behind about 4 weeks because these are loans that are closing now, which means they were locked about 4 weeks ago. All right, so I want to take a look at some stories that's being reported in the news, and I'm going to show you how the media reports things and kind of like, you know, tries to manipulate different stories to get you to feel certain ways about the market. I want to take a look at this story right here from CNBC. Diana Olick. This story says existing home sales fell in April to the lowest level since the start of the pandemic. Now, if you read that article, you're thinking immediately, oh crap, we got some problems here. But the truth is, this is a story more about inventory than it's about anything else. This is not about, you know, a problem with the housing market, which if you believe there should be a lot of houses on the market or something like that, you know, it is. But this is a bearish story when really this story goes on to talk about, just the amount of inventory and the fact that there are a lower amount of sales. So one of the excerpts from this article says sales continue to be swift, with the average home sitting on the market just 17 days before going under contract. As an average, typically if you're in some parts of the nation, if you're in like Hawaii or San Diego like that, and a house been on the market for 17 days, it's like, wow, what's going on here? But as a national average, that's still pretty quick with homes going off the market. All cash, this is based, by the way, this is based on the existing homes report from April that just came out, this data here. The all cash sale remained at an all-time, or remained high at 25% of all sales. Investors made up 17% of sales. First-time home buyers are at 28%. Historically, first-time home buyers make up 40% of the market. And this is just, a trend that talks about how difficult it is sometimes for first-time home buyers to get homes, because people are move-up buyers, where they're selling homes and then moving on to larger properties, or this their second home or third home or something to that effect. Another excerpt from this article says, this count represents closings during the month, so it reflects contracts actually signed in February and March. So it's a kind of lagging data here. But this notes here that this was going on while interest rates started off February at an average of 3.6% and then wrapped up March at 4.78%. So interest rates went up about 1.2% on average in the span of 60 days. So now that notes that the interest rates are hovering around 5.45 according to the data that they're reporting. I'm looking at data that says about 5.25, okay? All right, but the issue here is really the tight housing supply and how that's forcing prices higher. So there's not a lot of supply right now, and that's forcing the amount of the prices higher. That's also increasing the equity if you're in a home. So prices are up about 15%. And here's one of the reasons why those prices are up 15%. Turns out that if I show you this chart, this is from the National Association of Realtors. This is the percentage change of home sale by price range. And you see here, if you're above $500,000 on the price range, you're seeing those home sales are going at 18.5% year over year. More homes are being sold in that range. And then 750 to a million, you're at about 20%, 19.3. And then over a million, 16% more sales year over year. Now, that's a reflection of the higher prices. That's also a reflection of people selling their houses, moving into larger houses, nicer houses, because they have equity in those previous homes. And then you see the homes that are at a lower price point. Not as many sales there, because typically you have a lot more, you might have somebody with a first-time home buyer might have more difficulty qualifying there. So that's also interesting. But I want you to take a look at this chart right here. We are now hitting the spring season where, we get into these situations where people are starting to sell their homes, list their homes on the market. And this is an interesting phenomenon. We have this every single spring. People start listing their homes because they want to move to their new home with the kids. You have kids. They control all of your life once you have kids. And it also controls when you sell your home. So people are they're listing their homes right now with the expectation of selling that home and then getting into another home by the summer, so the kids are ready to go back to school. And this is absolutely normal. It's called the spring fling. And this is when, a lot of houses come on the market in the springtime. So you're starting to see this uptick in houses. So this uptick in houses, on houses on the market, is actually coinciding with what is referred to as sentiment. Now, by definition, sentiment is how an individual or a group of individuals feel about a certain situation. There are still people who think that the interest rates are too high. This is going to have a negative effect on the market, which if you look at the data, that's not consistent. You're seeing, lower amount of sales, but those lower amount of sales are happening at a higher price point, which if you're in a home, it is pushing that equity higher. So you're seeing these homes come onto the market. In some cases, you're seeing some homes stay on the market in some select cases a little bit longer than you expected. So you're seeing, I mean, I think this week we had one of our families get a VA loan, get accepted at asking in the homes in my neighborhood. I have not seen that probably in 2 years. So there are some opportunities here if you're tied in with your realtor, listening to the guidance of your realtor, and just listening. I think my team this week, we brought in about, we had about 8 or 9 contracts come in, just because, you know, we're starting to see more inventory come onto the market. Now, what you cannot do is sit until inventory comes onto the market and then you have sentiment change. And sentiment is just generally how people feel about a situation. Over time, people are going to start to realize that, hey, this is just the new normal of interest rates. This is just the new normal of the market. And they're going to start getting back in there and competing more. I believe you have a lull right now of about 2 to 3 weeks where you have inventory coming on. If you're being aggressive in your offers, then you can get into a home and then you can start participating in the appreciation that is coming. So if you're looking right now, okay, if you're looking right now, get tied in with your realtor. Look at the inventory. Look at the situations that are being presented to you. And I'd recommend you present aggressive offers to get into a property, because once we're in this for a month, then you start seeing, you know, more and more people have already sold their home, and then they come on the buyer side and they start, you know, competing with you. If you're in one of the areas like Killeen, Texas, where we do a lot of business, or Dallas, Texas, where we do a lot of business, or Hawaii, where my team does a lot of business. So if you're in the market right now, you are at a critical point of opportunity. I recommend that you seize it and get into a home. All right, that's it for this week. A lot of information going on. We'll be back next week to give you another weekly update. But that's it. See you next time on Major Money Matters.